Hello there, my name is Don, and today in this slide I'll be talking about the fin whale. So here's a story about how I saw the fin whale and why I decided to do it. So when I went to San Diego when I was in 7th grade during the summer of 2017, me and my family went on a whale watch tour. There were only two types of animals I saw during that trip, one of them being Apollo dolphins. I don't know the species of, but later on during the trip I saw a lone fin whale breathing up and down literally about a dozen times. So my dad took some pictures of the whale when we encountered it. So as you can see here, it's some of the pictures. So this is it breathing, and this is the fin. And we were also pretty lucky to see the whale because the last few times the whale watching company went and did a tour, they didn't see anything. This is also why I decided to work on the fin whale for my project. So I have a poster shown here about the many different types of whales that I got for Christmas last year by my aunts. So if we zoom, if we look at this picture here, this is the fin whale right next to the blue whale. And over here we can see like the different types of names in different languages. So more about names. So a little bit of a funny story, but I accidentally spelled out the gray whale instead of the fin whale for them. Alright, so the scientific name is Baleinoptera. I can't pronounce it. Salus. It's also known as the finback whale or the common rorqual. The former name is herring whale and the razorback whale, and its nickname is the greyhound of the sea. So I believe the razorback name came from that from above. The whale looks like a bit of a sharp blade, so it kind of looks like a knife, especially at the tip. And the name fin whale came from the easy to spot fin on its back, over here somewhere. So fin whales are found in almost all of the world's oceans. Most of them usually live in the cold deep ocean waters, but they rarely go into like the warmer tropical waters. Fin whales also migrate between their feeding seasons. Feeding and mating grounds in between seasons. Populations exist and are especially prevalent in the Gulf of California, which is around here. Mexico and the Mediterranean. There's Mexico, there's the Mediterranean. And as you can see here, they do not live in like the blue, the dark blue lines in the map. So here's the map of the distribution. Fin whales can live almost across the world. Fin whales can live almost across the world, the only exception being the Arctic Ocean due to being too cold in the north to survive, and ice in the seas and lakes bordered by landmass such as the Great Lakes in the northeastern USA, the Black Sea by the country of Turkey, and the eastern Baltics in Europe. Like most large whales, the fin whale has been historically hunted for its blubber meat, although guidelines in the later half of the 20th century has been made to drastically reduce the hunting of the fin whale. Because of that, the fin whale population has been slowly rising above, although not to pre-whaling times. Iceland, Greenland, and Japan still hunt them, but only under heavy restrictions by the International Whaling Commission. However, it is still an endangered species. There are now about 100,000 fin whales on Earth as of now. Physical characteristics. Fin whales have a streamlined body, a dart-shaped head, a tall and hooked dorsal fin near the back of the body, a white underside so that if you're looking from above, you blend in with the sky. It can be black or dark brownish gray. Most of the whales have what they are called chevrons in the back of the head, which is around here, I believe. They can weigh in length about 80 tons in feet and can live to 90 years old. Females can be a little larger than males, but however, they can be quite hard to tell. So here's the fin whale compared to like all the other whales. Here's like some of the body parts of the fin whale. I mean, characteristics. So there are three subspecies of the fin whale. The northern, the southern, and the pygmy. What was known about the pygmy whale is based on data of a specimen that's been beached in Argentina. However, scientists have considered splitting the northern subspecies in half, as there's the North Atlantic species and the North Pacific species that rarely interact with each other, and that can look different from each other. The spout in the fin whale can reach up to 9 meters in length. Fin whales, like other certain whales, such as a humpback and the blue whale, have baleen used to feed. With the fin whale tail, or known as the fluke, is sleek, broad, and long, and can be rare to see if you're whale watching. So here's the fluke. Like what the physical characteristics say, the fin whale has some interesting characteristics relating to their anatomy, like how fin whales have two blowholes on the top of their head. Their skeleton has fingers and hands due to the evolution from a land animal called Pachycetus, which is this creature over here. So it kind of looks like a little very long rodent, which are the earliest known cetaceans, which is like whales. Those fingers are hidden under their pectoral fins. And so we won't go into this because go too in depth into this because the information is already on like the previous slides. So because fin whales have bristles in their mouths instead of teeth called baleen, they are filter feeders, and as such they eat small creatures they find while swimming and don't actually hunt much. They sometimes eat small fish and squid, but they usually eat small crustaceans and zooplankton called crow, which is basically a small shrimp. Occasions also depend on what the fin whale eats. In the North Pacific, they mainly feed on crow and small schooling fish. However, in the Bering Sea, which is like between Alaska and Russia, the fin whales mainly feed on Alaska pollock, and Pacific herring. In British Columbia, along with fish and squid, they can also eat some octopus. So here are more prey. So this is Alaska pollock, crow, Pacific herring, and squid. The fin whale, like mentioned earlier, is a filter feeder in which they use their baleen to filter in their prey, such as crow. During their summer months, fin whale eat crow and small fish that I mentioned earlier, and they feed by lunging into schools of prey and opening their throat wide to help swallow and gulp in huge amounts of food. It's hard to determine where exactly they hunt because they do it in the open ocean deep underwater. Unfortunately, in the Mediterranean area, plastic debris often overlaps with the feeding grounds of the fin whales and have severely harmed the side of the fin whales. So here it is, that's the fin whale mouth open. So orcas known as fin whale, orcas known as the killer whale are the only known predators to the fin whale. This type of event of the fin whale being eaten is rare sighting, so it's hard to say if the orca is the only predator. To kill more efficiently, orcas hunt the fin whales in groups of two pods of orcas. However, these attacks on the fin whale rarely end up in fatalities, as the orcas only prey on the old, young, and already injured whales, since healthy fin whales are pretty fast. Usually the fin whale flees the orcas, but there are some confirmed deaths. One such case is in 2005 in the Gulf of California. A pod of orcas chased a lone fin whale for an hour until the fin whale got tired of swimming around and succumbed to his death. The orcas hunted the fin whale in the situation by flanking both the fin whale's sides, with one orca at the bottom to prevent the whale from swimming down to escape. The orca fell on his sinking body and then left the area 15 minutes later. Fin whales often travel in pairs when swimming, but live in groups of up to 6 to 10 members and up to 100 when feeding. They're also one of the fastest cetaceans and can go up to 23 miles per hour to 29 miles per hour, which gives them the nickname the Greyhound of the sea. When they feed, they breathe 5 to 7 times consecutively, but when we are traveling, they breathe when they are traveling, they breathe like once every 2 minutes. When they want to go back underwater, they arch their back high out of the water and swim down. Male fin whales can also make long and low frequency sounds, which are pretty loud, which can last up to many days during the mating season. At first, when it's recorded, the U.S. Marine biologist thought the fin whale was sounds are part of the Soviet Union scheme for detecting submarines. At night, except for the submarines, fin whales can go up to the surface to eat. Yeah, I'll show you fin whale. There's a part of fin whales. Every 2 to 3 years, the fin whales breed to create offspring. In the northern hemisphere, breeding occurs between the months of November to January. In the southern hemisphere, since the seasons are reversed, they breed from June to September. They migrate from their feeding grounds in the Arctic and Antarctic during the summer into tropical areas for breeding during the winter months. So it's not exactly known where they exactly do that. The birds and the bees, well, you know what that is. Happens with the fin whales and a female fin whale is pregnant with another whale inside for about 11 months. That's why the whales mate every 2 years. They gave birth to only one calf during the session. Little is known about how their social and mating systems are, but like other baleen whales, their bonds don't last a lifetime. So here's the fin whale and 2 fin whale calves. This one's a sperm whale, but you get the point of that it drinks milk when it was just a newborn. The only major threat to the fin whales from humans is a human accidentally striking the whales from their ship. Fin whales are the most vulnerable species to ship strikes since their ship traffic goes along the fin whale migration routes. Fin whales can also accidentally be fished as they get caught in fishing gear and traps. Underwater noise can also affect the fin whales' behavior as they drive them away from areas essential to survival, and because of that can get stranded and die. Climate change is also important to fin whales as their environment and behavior can change. Temperatures in turn can impact the timing of when to migrate and hunt for food. In the 19th century, they can also deliberately be hunted for their blubber like many other whales during the time. So here's a fin whale that got struck by a ship. There's a fin whale without a tail. Not sure if this is a fin whale, but it can happen to them. And this is a dead fin whale. Under the conservation status of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the fin whale is listed as vulnerable, which means that there is a high risk that under humans that the fin whales can become extinct in the wild unless conditions improve otherwise. Like said in the last slide, it's mainly humans that kill off fin whales accidentally and intentionally, making them vulnerable in the future. The global population in 2022, according to a site called Oceanwide Expeditions, states that there are 100,000 left in the wild. However, there is some good news. After 2018, fin whales have stopped being hunted by countries such as Iceland and Japan. And from data taken from 2008 from the Alaskan Department of Fish and Game, the population rose from 75,000 to 100,000. In the southern hemisphere, it is hard to tell what the population of fin whales are in an accurate manner due to this. There's no scientifically accepted evidence in which there's a decline or rise in fin whale population in the south. So this is the population size of the fin whale. There's a fin whale being whaled, and there's fin whale death like in the Arctic, Antarctic. So some natural history museums, especially in Europe, hang up fin whale bones from the dead specimens to find and hang the bones up on the ceiling as a museum. And sometimes by the entrance of the museum. One such example is the Los Angeles Natural History Museum, which they have the exhibit called the Fin Whale Passage, in which the specimen was found at the Trinidad Whaling Station in Northern California. So here's the Los Angeles Natural History Museum. And now we'll be going on to the videos. So before I leave, I'd like to give thanks to the bibliography for helping me with all the information I gave. So here's all the sites I used. And again, I'd like to thank all of you for being patient and watching my presentation about the fin whale. And see ya.